Meaning this guy, Wayne Perry, was considered the Michael Jordan of the murder game.
Wayne Perry was one of our most prolific killers in D.C. during the time when the violence in D.C. had just gotten completely out of control back in 1989, 1990, 91. A New York drug dealer by the name of Albert Martinez, moved from New York to the D.C. area. And he started supplying drugs to various drug dealers in the D.C. area and also in Fredericksburg, Virginia. He got immediately targeted and shot by some Northeast killers that Perry knew, but wasn't really close with. And this put Martinez in a bad position.
ALPO brought in his partner, which was Wayne Perry.
I mean, this kid had D.C. in fear. I mean, this kid just didn't care. He was murdering everything that was moving.
When Poe hooked up with Wayne, that was the best thing that happened to Poe.
The average dude getting money down here would have loved to have Wayne on their team. And he had Wayne on his team.
Alberta was characterized as the kingpin of the organization, and Mr. Perry was characterized as the enforcer.
Poe had the money and the coke. Wayne had the power.
These his new friends.
If you're going to get something from Alpo, you best to pay it back, because if not, Wayne is going to handle it.
Ain't no freebies, ain't all that nice shit stopping.
Wayne's MO was more so than, fuck that nigga, let's get rid of him.
If you wasn't on their team, then watch out, because if you had something they wanted, they was coming to get it.
He was, first of all, in the hospital and thought he was going to die. So he confessed all of his drug dealing activities to my partner, and he just told Angelo everything that he was doing. And so he had left New York under pretty bad conditions. There were about 4 or 5 people that wanted to kill him up there. He had been involved in the murder of a friend of a major drug dealer in Harlem.
But I know the thing is, did I kill Rich? Yes. Why did I kill Rich? It wasn't personal. It was business.
When we had Martinez in custody, and we had him in custody for about 2 or 3 months, he started to cooperate with us. We really started getting that corroborative information about many of the murders. And we were able to put together, with his cooperation, a factual sort of format as to how each case went down. Because we ended up wanting to charge all those summertime murders. And that's what we ended up doing. We charged them all. Martinez pled to 14 murders, and we ended up having him go through all of the D.C. murders that he had done with Perry, and ones that he could remember and details that he could remember. But he also knew about other cases that Perry had done that he was aware of but didn't have any firsthand knowledge.
When I first got the information from the prosecutor, and I'm listening to what the prosecutors and the FBI agents are telling me, and they're telling me about all these murders, they're talking to me about all the money he's been making, they're talking to me about all of the weight that's been brought from New York and from other places down to the District of Columbia, and they're showing me the proof that they have and the surveillance and the witnesses' statements, and I'm sitting there and trying to take it all in.
I was putting together an indictment charging Alpo with potential death penalty cases.
They was trying to give me the death penalty. If they couldn't give me the death penalty, they was trying to give me the rest of my natural life in jail. We had murders 2 blocks away from the White House.
And when I got the information, I remember I went back to see him at the jail, and we sat down and I stared at him for about 2 or 3 minutes. I was just shaking my head, and I said to him, you know, I can't believe all what I'm seeing and hearing here.
My lawyer was like, your ace in the hole is, if they ever ask you to tell, you really need to think about that.
Wayne wasn't sure that he was telling.
They knew Alberto, there was a chance of him telling. You know, he wasn't from here. Y'all ain't come out the sandbox together. This business.
But what they were doing was building a case. And Wayne got locked up on a whole nother charge, which right then and there Wayne knew that he was telling because they held Wayne.
I think what was so surprising to them was the ability of Mr. Martinez to recall details.
So my lawyer came back at me and was like, listen man, they really want Wayne Perry. They want you too, but they really want Wayne Perry. And if you got anything good on him, they willing to make a deal with you.
ALPO was a smart businessman. He looked at his odds at tangling with the feds and realized that he had more information that he thought he could trade to get him out of this predicament.
I remember that the first meeting that we had with the agents, where he had to sit across the same agents who were prosecuting him, who had arrested him, and who had been investigating him for so long, and now he was like working with them.
ALPO brought to the table that kind of businessman callousness. And so when he's doing a dope deal or deciding whether to kill somebody or not, it was business. That's what drove him. He rarely ever acted out of personal anger or animosity. He made business decisions. When it came to dealing with us, it was the same. He'd already made a decision. Look, let's do a deal. And it's like he is using his own terms. It's like, let's negotiate a contract. He thought he was like an NBA player, and here we are sitting down. He wants to play basketball. It's just a matter of negotiating terms of the contract.
Once the decision to cooperate was made, there was no turning back.
Perry pled guilty to 5 CCE homicides, which are murders in the furtherance of a continuing criminal enterprise. It's a sort of a drug homicide, for lack of anything else you'd call it. But once he pled to those, the plea agreement was that he would get life without parole and never have the possibility of parole 5 times, and that he would never be charged with anything in D.C. again. I said, Wayne, why don't you tell me about all the cases that you were responsible for, and that way nobody else will get charged with anything that you did. He said, oh, yeah, that's a good idea. He said, so we talked for the first time down in Petersburg, Virginia, and it was several-hour interview, and he told me at that point that he was responsible for at least 50 homicides, and that he would talk about cases that he personally had done, but he wouldn't go much further than that. He wouldn't talk about murders that he had done with other people, which were fairly extensive. So I took down...
And why was that?
Well, he was not going to snitch. That was his, moral, ethical standard. But he ended up getting transferred into the custody of the Bureau of Prisons, and they sent him first to Marion, where he was the cellmate for John Gotti.
So where is he now? What's going on with him now?
He's in Florence, Colorado, doing 23 and a half hours a day of solitary confinement. And he gets a half hour of outside rec. I mean, he was the first person that was supposed to face the death penalty in D.C. Whether or not he would have gotten it really would have kind of depended on how good our case would have been, which I think would have been pretty good.
But he pled instead of going to trial.
He pled. And so what we do as a society now is we pay about $30,000 to $35,000 a year to incarcerate him. If he would have been found guilty of a capital offense and would have been put to death under the federal death penalty statutes, it would have probably cost us $20 million to put him to death.
Give or take, if it was Wayne that they caught first, Poe probably would still be out on the streets, because Wayne is a true man to the game. He went out like a soldier.
It came out the 14 murders that I copped out to. When I say copped out to and all that, being in my position and doing what I had to do for me as far as testifying and all that, I had to confess to those murders. I had to tell